And I want to start off asking you about what is the absolute latest news on your case, because my understanding, Judge Joshua Hill of the 232nd District Court was supposed to give a ruling regarding your writ hearing and whether or not they were going to drop charges because of the DNA testing that dismissed you from the evidence, that exists. Where is that? Has Judge Hill made his ruling, and if so, what is that ruling?
Okay, currently my case is pending in the Court of Criminal Appeals. They sent an order to the clerk and the reporter of the 232 District Court asking them to send all the paperwork. Judge Josh Hill sat on my case for 2.5 years. This did nothing. So I had to file what they call a mandamus to push it into gear. But after the fourth mandamus, the court finally responded and demanded that they send everything. So what Judge Josh Hill did, he decided to embrace almost word for word the state's opposition against me. So the Court of Criminal Appeals has the final say-so, but they are to determine whether or not they're going to exonerate or whatever. But Josh Hill is the judge of my court who could have more thoroughly investigated my case because he was in a position to do so. He chose not to. And so right now, I'm waiting on the Court of Criminal Appeals. Prayerfully, they would do something soon. But as of February 16th, 2022, they got everything they needed from the lower court to make that ruling. So that's what things are right now, just pending before them.
Okay, and so just so I understand, so Judge Hill was supposed to make this ruling in December of 2019.
Yeah.
It didn't happen, and you had to file some legal proceedings to push the process forward. Is that correct?
Absolutely. December 2nd, 2019 was the date he was given after he got a 120-day extension.
Wow.
After that. So after the 120-day extension, it went up to December 2nd, 2019.
Okay.
And from December 2nd, 2019, all the way to December 3rd, 2022, the court demanded that not him, the clerk, just send us the records.
Yeah.
They didn't even ask him to do anything.
Just send the records.
Just send us the records. And then they sent the records and they piecemealed it. So the court came back and said, send the exhibits with the records. The exhibits consist of the DNA results, the police offense report, pictures, everything that would corroborate my claim of actual innocence.
Right.
They held that back for some reason. So they came up with another order January 31st, 2022. And said, send us those exhibits. You got 30 days to do this. You should have done it 15 days after the hearing. My hearing was in July of 2019. So they didn't do anything they were supposed to do. So the court, I guess, said enough is enough. So they put the decree down, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. And so now we're just waiting on word.
We're just waiting on the Court of Criminal Appeals. That's where it's at now.
Okay. I have several questions about your case.
Yes, sir.
But before we even get there, I want to go back to before you even got to Houston. You're from Chicago?
Yes, sir.
All right. And it's my understanding that you got a track scholarship to Texas Southern University?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I ran track for TSU.
All right. What did you run?
200 meters. That was my specialty, but I like the
Were you any
400.
good, brother?
I think so. I think so. But I tell you, up north, the time is a lot slower because of the cold weather.
Okay.
And I got down here, in warm weather, my time increased. But up north, I think I was pretty good.
Okay.
I think I was pretty good.
Is that what brought you to Houston, or did you have other offers to go other places?
Yeah, I could have went to FAMU, Ohio State. I had 8 scholarship offers.
Wow.
Yeah, but I chose TSU because my coach, he was literally coerced and paid $7,500. He told me this later to get me to pick TSU. And it's cool. It's cool. That's my coach. It's like a father image. But he did some good coercion, and here I am. No regrets for TSU though. Great university. It's just
Yeah.
it's trouble. Makes things seem like a bad choice.
Yeah. And that I was going to ask you just about your whole TSU experience. What was it like before May of 1983, your TSU experience?
TSU was great. I played as an alpha,
Okay.
and as a member of fraternity, we were we were really active in school activities.
Mm-hmm.
And we just did everything because they went through the fraternities a lot.
Yeah.
So it was good. It was great. Then I chose to work part-time at Florshem's,
Mm-hmm.
Florsham Shoe Company. Had a job going door to door selling books. In my sophomore year, felt I can sell anything to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to Florsham and sold myself and gave me the job. Eventually became assistant manager, and then it went from there.
Okay. All right. What'd you major in?
Psychology, and switched over to computers.
Uh-huh.
I had a hell of an incident with psychology. I realized I was in the wrong field of psychology.
Okay.
But they took us on a field trip in Houston. I'm not even sure where it was at. I got a chance to see firsthand people who were psychotic. And I realized I don't think I want this branch of psychology.
Wow.
So I switched to cognitive psychology. That's what I eventually got my degree in.
Okay. All right. I want to go back to what led up to your arrest.
Okay.
So what happened with you and Clarence Richardson when you two stopped at the Galleria?
Okay. Because I worked at Florsham, I was at the Galleria to pick up my check, actually, and at work. Richardson was already shopping.
Mm-hmm.
He was already doing what he was doing with the credit cards.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked me, could I give him a lift home? I said, okay, when I get off work, I got you.
So you worked in the Galleria?
I worked in the Galleria.
Okay.
Yeah. Mr. Van Cleve was my manager.
Okay.
But I worked there, and I seen him doing this little shopping, doing from campus. I said, sure, I could do a lift home, but wait till I get off work. So he roaming around. Finally, Van Cleve said, well, you can leave early. So I left at about maybe 8:20.
Mm-hmm.
I accompanied him to a couple of stores.
Mm-hmm.
The guy alerted to a bad credit card. Richardson, his name's Clarence Richardson. Man, get away from here. So took a few steps back. They reported that I ran all through the mall. That's not true. But anyway, I took a few steps back, trying to process everything. So they got him, they got me, they arrested us. He was initially charged with credit card abuse.
Mm-hmm.
All of the witnesses to the credit card abuse, all of the store clerks, all of them said it wasn't this guy, speaking about me, the taller guy. It was the shorter guy abusing the credit cards. So we both was charged with credit card abuse. And then some 90 days later, just me and me alone. Charged me with capital murder, and robbery. Then they dropped the capital murder and murder on their own record and decided to try me for aggravated robbery.
So aggravated robbery is the charge or the conviction that led you here. It wasn't.
It was the lesser included offense. They figured it was better, I guess, to try me for the robbery, but they couldn't prove murder or capital murder.
Right.
Didn't do it.
Right.
So they would have to make up lies anyway.
Yeah. And I have to ask this: did you ever know or meet Richard Bowen, the person who was?
Never met him. Never didn't know anything about him.
Nothing.
Never seen him. No introduction. Anything.
Yeah.
But when I started researching, trying to figure out who done this, I found some stuff against him that was in the offense report. It's there for public records. The guy sold drugs.
Oh, Richard Bowen.
Yeah. For some guy, and they got his name. His name is Larry.
Mm-hmm.
And the police confirmed that he was selling drugs for this guy. It's in the offense report. 2 days after the offense, somebody called in, an anonymous caller, and said, we know who done this to the victim.
Mm-hmm.
And mentioned his name and everything, and said this guy was selling dope for him. But they never investigated, I guess.
Okay. This is my first time hearing this.
Yeah,
So
it's an offense report.
the person who they accused you of killing, you and I guess Clarence Richardson, was selling drugs, and someone called the police and gave them a name of who they said did it.
Yeah, and so they obviously looked into it because they confirmed This guy was selling dope for this guy. I guess they talked to other people who confirmed it.
Mm-hmm.
But so far as confirming whether or not the guy committed the offense, I'm not sure if they pursued that diligently.
Mm-hmm.
But it took a 90-day process before they finally charged me.